Chapter 23. Captain Osborne of Chicago Homicide had the gray, pointed face of a stone fox. Copies of the Tatler were all over the police station. One was on his desk. He didn't ask Crawford and Graham to sit down.
You had nothing at all working with Lowndes in the city of Chicago?
No. He was coming to Washington, Crawford said. He had a plane reservation. I'm sure you've checked it.
Yeah, I got it. He left his office about 1:30 yesterday. Got jumped in the garage of his building. Must have been about 10 of 2.
Anything in the garage?
His keys got cocked and kicked under his car. There's no garage attendant. They had a radio-operated door, but it came down on a couple of cars and they took it out. Nobody saw it happen. That's getting to be the refrain today. We're working on his car.
Can we help you there?
You can have the results when I get them. You haven't said much, Graham. You had plenty to say in the paper.
I haven't heard much either, listening to you.
You pissed off, Captain?
Crawford said.
Me? Why should I?
We ran down a phone trace for you and a caller, a fucking news reporter.
Then you've got no charges against him.
You have got some deal with him. Gets him cooked in front of this scandal sheet. Now the other papers adopt him like he was their own. Now we've got our own Tooth Fairy murder right here in Chicago. That's great. Tooth Fairy in Chicago. Boy. Before midnight, we'll have 6 accidental domestic shootings. Guy trying to sneak in his own house drunk. Wife hears him bang. The Tooth Fairy may like Chicago, decide to stick around, have some fun.
We can do like this, Crawford said. Butt heads, get the police commissioner and the U.S. attorney all stirred up. Get all the assholes stirred up, yours and mine. Or we can settle down and try to catch the bastard. This was my operation, and it went to shit. I know that. You ever had that happen right here in Chicago? I don't want to fight with you, Captain. We want to catch him and go home. What do you want?
Osborne moved a couple of items on his desk. A pen holder, a picture of a foxed face, child in band uniform. He leaned back in his chair, pursed his lips, and blew out some air.
Right now I want some coffee. You guys want some?
I'd like some, Crawford said.
So would I,
Graham said. Osborne passed around the foam cups. He pointed to some chairs. The Tooth Fairy had to have a van or a panel truck to move Lowndes around in that wheelchair, Graham said. Osborne nodded.
The license plate Lowndes saw was stolen off a TV repair truck in Oak Park. He took a commercial plate, so he was getting it for a van or a truck. He replaced the plate on the TV truck with another stolen plate, so it wouldn't be noticed so fast. Very sly, this boy. One thing we do know. He got the plate off the TV truck sometime after 8:30 yesterday morning. The TV repair guy bought gas first thing yesterday, and he used a credit card. The attendant copied the correct license number on the slip, so the plate was stolen after that. Nobody saw any kind of truck or van? Crawford said. Nothing. The guard at the Tabler saw Zip. He could referee wrestling, he sees so little. The fire department responded first to the Tabler. They were just looking for fire. We're canvassing the overnight workers in the Tabler neighborhood and the neighborhoods where the TV guy worked Tuesday morning. We hope somebody saw him cop the plate. I'd like to see the chair again, Crawford said. It's in our lab. I'll call them for you. Osborne paused. Lowndes was a ballsy little guy. You have to give him that. Remembering the license number and spitting it out, the shape he was in. You listened to what Lowndes said at the hospital? Graham nodded. I don't mean to rub this in, but I want to know if we heard it the same way. What does it sound like to you? Graham, in a monotone voice, quoted, Tooth Fairy. Graham set me up. The cunt knew it. Graham set me up. Cunt put his hand on me in the picture like a fucking pet. Osborne could not tell how Graham felt about it. He asked another question. He was talking about the picture of you and him and the Tabler. Had to be. Where would he get that idea? Lowndes and I had a few run-ins. But you looked friendly toward Lowndes in the picture. The Tooth Fairy kills the pet first. Is that it? That's it. The stone fox was pretty fast, Graham thought. Too bad you didn't stake him out. Graham said nothing. Lowndes was supposed to be with us by the time the Tooth Fairy saw the Tabler, Crawford said. Does what he said mean anything else to you? Anything we can use? Graham came back from somewhere and had to repeat Osborne's question in his mind before he answered. We know from what Lowndes said that the Tooth Fairy saw the Tabler before he hit Lowndes, right? Right. If you start with the idea that the Tabler set him off, does it strike you that he set this up in a hell of a hurry? The thing came off the press Monday night. He's in Chicago, stealing license plates sometime Tuesday, probably Tuesday morning, and he's on top of Lowndes Tuesday afternoon. What does that say to you? That he saw it early, and he didn't have far to come, Crawford said. Either he saw it here in Chicago, or he saw it someplace else Monday night. Bear in mind, he'd be watching for it to get the personal column. Either he was already here, or he came from driving distance. Graham said. He was on top of Lowndes too fast with an old, big wheelchair you couldn't carry on a plane. It doesn't even fold. And he didn't fly here, steal a van, steal plates for it, and go around looking for an antique wheelchair to use. He had to have had an old wheelchair. A new one wouldn't work for what he did. Graham was up,
fiddling with the cord on the Venetian blinds, staring at the brick wall across the air shaft. He already had the wheelchair, or saw it all the time. Osborne started to ask a question, but Crawford's expression caused him to wait. Graham was starting to tie knots in the blind cord. His hands were not steady. He saw it all the time, Crawford prompted. Mm-hmm, Graham said. You can see how the idea starts with the wheelchair. From the sight and thought of the wheelchair. That's where the idea would come from when he's thinking what he'll do to those fuckers. Freddy rolling down the street on fire. It must have been quite a sight. Do you think he watched it? Maybe. He certainly saw it before he did it, when he was making up his mind what to do. Osborne watched Crawford. Crawford was solid. Osborne knew Crawford was solid, and Crawford was going along with this. If he had the chair, or he saw it all the time, we can check around the nursing homes, the VA, Osborne said. It was perfect to hold Freddy still, Graham said. For a long time. He was gone 15 hours and 25 minutes, more or less, Osborne said. If he had just wanted to snuff Freddy, he could have done that in the garage, Graham said. He could have burned him in his car. He wanted to talk to Freddy, or hurt him for a while. Either he did it in the back of the van, or he took him somewhere, Crawford said. That length of time, I'd say he took him somewhere. It had to be somewhere safe. If he had bundled him up good, he wouldn't attract much attention or notice around a nursing home, going in and out, Osborne said. He'd have the racket, though, Crawford said. A certain amount of cleaning up to do. Assume he had the chair, and he had access to the van, and he had a safe place to take him to work on. Does that sound like home? Osborne's telephone rang. He growled at it. What? No, I don't want to talk to the tattler. Well, it better not be bullshit. Put her on. Captain Osborne, yes? What time? Who answered the phone initially? At the switchboard? Take her off the switchboard, please. Tell me again what he said. I'll have an officer there in 5 minutes. Osborne looked at his telephone thoughtfully after he hung up. Lounge's secretary got a call about 5 minutes ago, he said. She swears it was Lounge's voice. He said something she didn't get. Strength of the Red Dragon. That's what she thought he said.